RCI, Monday to Friday, 12:45 to 2 p.m. The Lunchroom. Informative, enlightening, provocative, engaging. The Lunchroom on RCI. Food for thought. The station that gives you, more lunch.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the Lunchroom on Radio Caribbean International. It's Monday, June the 10th, 2024. This is program number 1191 of the Lunchroom. I'm your host, Calix George Jr. Now, in addition to radio on 101.1 FM, you can also get us at our website. It is rcistlucia.com. You can download our previous shows on that platform in podcast form as well. And we're streaming live on Facebook. Just search for the official page of Radio Caribbean International, and please be sure to like and share that as well with your friends and family. And if you want to call in to tell us what's on your plate today, the number to do so is 452-3046. That's our main landline right here. Again, 452-3046. And if you're overseas and you want to call in, you could do so via WhatsApp. That is 724-0008. You can also message in on WhatsApp as well. And again, that number is 724-0008. Now, some birthday greetings for today. And we want to send out birthday greetings to Mr. Carol Lawrence. Happy birthday to you, sir. And we do hope that you're having a fantastic birthday celebration. Look at history of the day. And if we look back to June the 10th, 1786, a landslide dam on the Dadu River caused by an earthquake 10 days earlier collapsed, killing 100,000 people in the Sichuan province of China. Landslide dams are essentially these, after a landslide, it blocks a river and it causes that backup of water on that river. And that happens sometimes in hurricanes and even things like earthquakes, of course. So that's the phenomenon that they were talking about there, which occurred back in 1786. In the 1898, on this day, U.S. Marines landed in Cuba. That was during the Spanish-American War. 1916, on this day, the Hashemite-led Arabs of the Hijaz rose up against the ruling Ottoman Empire in the Great Arab Revolt of World War I. 1963, on this day, a bit of U.S. history, the United States Equal Pay Act was signed into law by then-President John F. Kennedy. And in 1977, on this day, Apple Computer ships its first Apple II computers. We now move on to our dish of the day. The daily dish is brought to you the kind compliments of our good friends at Tiles Plus.
One tiles for your home, I see. Bathroom, kitchen, pantry. Need tiles for your balcony. Come down to Tiles Plus, satisfaction guarantee. Tiles Plus, Tiles Plus, Tiles Plus. Big tiles with unbeatable cost. Customer service, A+. With all kind of tiles, come down to Tiles Plus. We also got gasway and vanity. Books, doors, you'll see. Come down to mind nobody. We got the best tiles on island. Trust me. We are located Land Street in Castries, Bosses Jugosile, and Slack Street in Beaufort. Telephone number 453-7939. Tiles Plus.
Serving now, the Daily Dish.
And welcome to our program for this brand new week. And of course, if you're into the new week and you're still breathing, that's always certainly something to be very thankful for and thankful of. Unfortunately, over the weekend, we actually saw here in St. Lucia homicides 37, 38, 39, 40, and 41. And that was, in one instance, as a result of a house break-in, property break-in, in which an individual was a police officer in defense of his home, in fact, ended up killing an alleged intruder. But the other two, what the other two instances where we had homicides were actually double homicides. First in the Marcia area, and then just yesterday as well in Rodney Bay. And a very unfortunate situation where we are now up to 41 homicides for the year 2024. And if you think back to around 2010, maybe not 2010, but a little before that, actually, I would say 2003, 2004, 2005. 30 homicides was where we were probably at that time per year. In that, that was where the numbers were actually capping off at for St. Lucia. We are now in a situation where 20 years on, the rate has effectively doubled, it would appear, if not more than doubled. And certainly, given the fact that we are only into the 6th month of the year, carrying that burden of loss is certainly significant. And unfortunately, we're seeing far too often on the news, on our streets, the images of violence and conflict. And here we are in a country that's not at war, in a country that should effectively be a piece of paradise on earth. And we have to be dealing with this unfortunate reality of individuals losing their sons, losing their fathers, losing their nephews, uncles, as a result, in the main, coming from gun violence. And it is, of course, a continuing struggle that we have to deal with as a society. Sometimes, some people perhaps would want it to be something we don't ever discuss. And it's a matter, it's quote-unquote just another homicide. And these things don't affect the majority of people. But they do have significant impacts. And of course, the impacts that they quite often have are the knock-on effects, the social and economic impacts that the loss of a life causes for a family. Because in very many instances, you actually are dealing with some people who may be the primary income earner. You're dealing with individuals who may have children, young children, and they are in some instances being left without a father or being left orphaned even. And so it's definitely a burden upon the society and the families and the communities when these losses of life occur. And quite often there is that attitude, this is something that is within a gang-related situation, and so it really does not affect the main and the majority. There are implications. There are certainly clear implications regarding crime that have the impact on society in the long run. And so, of course, it is a business of the police. There's no doubt about it. It is a business of the police to be able to serve and protect, to be able to enforce law and order, to be able to bring to justice individuals who commit these crimes. Because otherwise, if it is simply a situation of individuals seeking justice in their own hands, what we will continue to have is homicide begetting homicide, and killing begetting killing. And that cycle is unfortunately will end up getting even spiraling even more and more out of control if it is left in that way. And so we've got to begin seeing how we can be bringing this spiral under control, and in fact to be able to bring it to a halt. As it stands right now, with the continuing situation of gangs in particular, that is an unfortunate one, because we do know that there are a lot of individuals out there who are trying to make an impact, who are trying to assist in certain communities. And I think that the challenge that some of these entities have is we think that, well, leave it up to these groups to be able to sort it out. And so, of course, we will hope that a not-for-profit institution like Rise St. Lucia, or another one like Raise Your Voice, or and those entities are going to somehow make the full difference that is needed in communities. No, I think it is certainly going to require an all-of-country approach in terms of dealing with these types of issues. And certainly one of the things that we can clearly see coming out of the homicides that we witnessed over the weekend is that there are no real boundaries in such a small country like ours, right? So today it might be, or yesterday it might have been Marsha, and today it might be Rodney Bay, and of course tomorrow it might be somewhere else. So there is no space really to be thinking about creating dichotomies and to thinking that it's something that will somehow contain itself in one part of the island or another. We're far too small and far too integrated for that to effectively be achieved. And so looking at it again, it certainly does require, in my view, the need for collaboration and the need for all parties to be able to come together. And we're not speaking just about political parties, the role of other institutions that can make a difference. It's a major one there. Unfortunately, we've gotten to a point where the structures, the community groups that exist in many communities are of the negative form. They are negative in, of course, because we know that they are based along the values of crime and greed, and that is really what is being pushing a lot of those groups. But they offer some form of community to a lot of individuals who are in search of just that, and in search of belonging, in search of community. And unfortunately, we have not seen enough of the other positive groups that need to exist in far too many communities. And that, I think, is a major imperative when we have to look at interventions, because certainly we can speak about the schools, and the schools are a very important starting point, and we're seeing unfortunately the active recruitment of school-age children into some of these gangs, and of course there has to be a response at the level of the schools and at the level of the education system. But certainly beyond that, after school, what happens? Or on weekends, what happens? And then that is where the issue of, are there those sufficient community activities, community groups, pursuits that can engage our young individuals and keep them not just active, but keep them motivated and ensure that they are developing good values so that they can discern when their futures, and of course, and when individuals are coming towards them with things that are glittering, that they would know that it need not necessarily be gold that they are being offered. And so it is very, very important that at the community level, we should begin seeing some efforts at building these types of institutions again, because we had them in the past, and for many different reasons, of course, we've seen people die, people move on, people migrate, they move out of the communities, and sometimes these institutions are so dependent on some of these major leaders and actors that and nobody fills their shoes. And so sometimes these programs just simply die out with those individuals. And so it's certainly necessary to begin looking at that matter of community, how strong these communities are, how positive these communities can be in terms of providing interest for our young people, our future, as we are moving forward as a country. Now, we do want to touch on a little bit beyond that matter. Of course, there is this whole issue of the politics of the day. That is an ongoing matter, which no doubt if you want, you can always call in and give your views of what is being said and how things are being said. But of course, it's always useful for all politicians to remember that people are listening, and you've got to be careful with what you say. It's very easy to be getting in a political space to get emotional and to have that desire to use fiery language and things that you may believe can actually influence your supporters to maybe take to the streets or to become more vocal and what have you. But it is also very important that we also exercise care when it comes to the use of language. And there are lessons all around in terms of politics and what we're seeing right now throughout the world. There is, in fact, a rise in the sensationalism of extreme politics. And in many countries, we are seeing how that is actually having implications. We can, of course, look to the United States of America, and we're seeing what is happening over there. And it has, in fact, become a highly divisive country by virtue of the rhetoric, by virtue of the statements that are being made by particular politicians who somehow think that they can, by these types of very sensational statements, gain the support of people. And one of those issues, of course, has been the matter of immigration. Creating this belief that people from the outside are coming in droves, quite often by the thousands and the millions, and are somehow becoming a burden on you, the taxpayer of that country, and the services that you enjoy. That is, of course, a highly charged issue that is playing out right now in the United States of America. And, of course, individuals like Mr. Donald Trump in particular have used immigration as a means of effectively championing and bringing people together to support him as the candidate for the next presidential general election in the United States. But it's not only in the United States where we are seeing that ultra-right agenda at play. And over the weekend, and for the past couple of days, in fact, the European Union has also been going through their own parliamentary elections. Now, we do know, of course, that Europe is a grouping of a number of different countries, but the European Union actually, since the year 1979, has had a European Parliament, and that European Parliament actually has individuals, members of that Parliament are in fact elected directly by the people of these various European countries. So if effectively it would have been a situation as if in the Caribbean, here you would still have, of course, elections at the local level. You would have your UWP and SLP still putting forward people to be here in the Parliament of St. Lucia, but then they may very well also put forward individuals now to be at a Caribbean-wide parliament. And that's effectively what exists in the European Union. And this current election of MEPs, as they're known, was seen to be very, very critical in terms of the moment within which the ultra-right parties of the European Union seem to have been gathering a lot of momentum, to the point where they were no longer on the fringes of the political system, but were in fact becoming more mainstream parties, even though some of their messages could effectively be characterized as fascist or extremist or racist. And so these types of parties seem to be very much on the rise. And there was a real concern, in fact, in the this 2024 European parliamentary election, that in fact there would be a significant shift towards the far right with respect to the composition of that body. Now, that parliament is actually one of the largest parliaments in the world. It has, I think, somewhere in the region of 720 elected individuals. And so effectively, it's on a proportional basis. So based on your population, you would then get each country would be allotted a certain number of that 720. For instance, Germany is the largest, and so it has 96 MEPs. Countries like France, which are pretty large as well, have 81. You've got other very large countries like Italy, 76. Spain, 61, Poland, 53. And then, of course, you've got a number of other smaller countries like Luxembourg and Malta. Those countries just have 6, or Cyprus, 6 representatives, 6 seats put forward within that massive 720. And normally, it's not a body that people see to be so critical, but it's certainly because of this trend that has been going on across Europe. And of course, the way these parties operate is that they will group themselves together in alliances, effectively. So it'll be like, say, for instance, all the conservative parties in the Caribbean were to come together. You know, the UWP here would join forces with the UWP in Dominica, and maybe other parties, the JLP in Dominica, in Jamaica, and so on and so forth. And the Labour parties might join forces here. You know, that's this kind of arrangement that exists with respect to Europe. And so there was this clear consolidation of these right-wing parties in Europe, and a significantly real fear that they would in fact be able to gain a foothold, a significant foothold in the election results for the European Parliament. It seems to have panned out in some instances, in particular that of France. And in fact, the party of Marie Le Pen, she's no longer the leader, but the National Rally National, this ultra-right party, they in fact were able to pick up a significant share of the French seats in the last election, the election that just ended over the weekend, to the point that it in fact that party got even like almost double the number of seats than the party of the ruling president, Emmanuel Macron. And in fact, as a result of that, he has decided to call a snap general election, parliamentary election for France. And so France is going to the polls. And of course, we also do know that the United Kingdom, no longer in the European Union, they're also going to the polls as well. And we're seeing so many countries at this point in time jostling for power as individuals are trying and parties are trying to protect themselves, if they so feel, from potential waves of right-wing extremism. The end result, however, in the case of the elections as we have them over in Europe, the actual numbers are not set, but they're based on very, very accurate exit polling. And so they're provisional results that have already been put out there. And based on those figures, the largest party, in fact, will remain the group of European People's Parties, or the Christian Democratic Parties. And they had about 176 of the 705 seats in the last parliament. The number has gone up a little bit from 705 to 720. And they, in fact, increased to 186. The Social Democratic parties, so those are more like the center-left parties in Europe, they had 139 in the last parliament, and in fact they now have 135. So they've gone down. The far left, the left it's in fact called, it's actually, they've also gone down slightly. They lost one seat, the Greens. So the largest slide from about 71 seats in the last period, 2019 to 2024, they're now at 53. So a significant drop in green parties. Of course, they tend to be dealing with a lot of climate change issues and renewable energy issues, issues of nuclear, a lot of issues that fall within the interest of green parties, but they seem to have been sliding away. And the parties that have gained as a result, however, have been the some of the far right parties in this instance, and that, of course, is not good news overall. Although the biggest gains for those far right parties were, in fact, in France, and many other countries were looking very carefully at the implications for them, but they seem not to have had the impact in many places that were being looked at. Countries like Finland and Denmark, for instance, that were likely to have gone further to the right, they in fact were not as greatly impacted as was originally feared. But the situation in France is a very interesting one, and one which of course, we will have to continue to watch, because it, of course, will potentially have even implications right here in the Caribbean. And the reality is that we, of course, are a neighbor to Martinique and Guadeloupe in particular, Saint Martin. And these countries, of course, are overseas departments of France, so they're considered part of France. And the potential for the politics of the hexagony can, in fact, impact on the state of play in Martinique and Guadeloupe, in Saint Martin. They've been trying, of course, to shift in terms of the stronger alliances with the Caribbean. Saint Martin, I believe, is trying to join the OECS as well, as has Martinique has done. And of course, the issues of support and grants will be something that no doubt may very well become even more topical with a party of far-right influence coming into play. We saw the issues of Mr. Macron himself and what is going on in New Caledonia in the Pacific. Again, another collectivity, or is it a part of France, and issues in terms of their the rights to protect the interest of the indigenous peoples, Kanak peoples of New Caledonia. They seeing themselves under threat from individuals coming from mainland France, settling in that island, and of course they believed that it was a watering down of their political strength, which of course caused tremendous issues in New Caledonia. So it'll be very interesting to see how that pans out in the coming days ahead. Of course, in the case of Great Britain, does not look very good for the Conservatives. They're already going in likely to be losing, and it is only seemingly getting worse. Of course, a major out by the incumbent Prime Minister Rishi Sunak, being accused of being insensitive on the matter of veterans. It was the 80th anniversary of D-Day. D-Day being that point in the war when the Allied forces went back onto the continent, onto the beaches of Normandy to begin an assault, an advance on Nazis who were at that time occupying France. And so it was a major moment with American and UK forces, and of course a major moment for Memorial. And he took a decision not to attend the international ceremony that brought the President of the United States, Biden, across the Atlantic for that. Of course, Emmanuel Macron, the President of France, was there. Mr. Schulz, the German Chancellor, was present. And it was seen to be a very important moment, of course. And he decided that he was better off doing an interview with a network, UK TV network. And so that has not placed him in very good stead in the eyes of even more individuals. And so that situation looks like, according to the polls, the Labour Party in the United Kingdom is likely to win its largest majority since 1906, I believe. So it'll be very interesting to see how that also pans out in terms of all matters, including Brexit as well. That's our dish of the day, a pretty long one, my apologies, and we'll be taking in our weather report at this time.
This has been The Daily Dish.
Want tiles for your home, I see. Bathroom, kitchen, pantry. Need tiles for your balcony. Come down to Tiles Plus, satisfaction guarantee. Tiles Plus, Tiles Plus, Tiles Plus. Big tiles with unbeatable cost. Customer service, A plus. Did all kind of tiles. Come down to Tiles Plus. We also got gasway and vanity. Books, doors, you'll see. Come down to mind nobody. We got the best tiles on island. Trust me. We are located Lunchroom in Castries, Bosses you Grizzly, and Slack Street in Dufort. Telephone number 453-7939.
Girl, I've been so stressed searching for the perfect tiles to complete my home.
Really?
Yeah, it's always the same white, beige, and gray tiles with these tile stores. Like they're all buying from the same place. You're the design expert. Help me, please. I'm fed up.
What are you looking for?
Something different. Something that says Caribbean beauty and suits my personality. Something vibrant and classy with a little razzle-dazzle.
Okay, Ms. Razzle Dazzle, I know just the place. Island Style Tile and Bath, they're my number one store for everything tile. And with their new In Living Color collection, you'll find the most gorgeous styles to give you that splash of Caribbean flair you're looking for.
That sounds perfect.
I'll even take you myself and throw in a free design consultation.
I'll never say no to that, sis. I can't afford you anyway.
Visit our Island Style showrooms in Castries, Rodney Bay, and Vieux Fort, or call 450-452 or 453 Tile. We'll help bring your vision to life in living color.
This is Radio Caribbean International. It's now time for the weather news.
Yeah, and that's what, of course, on the 1.1 is now time for your weather report as of 12 noon today, presented by Island Style Tile and Bath. The forecast for St. Lucia Valley for the next 24 hours. The winds will be blowing from the east near 21 miles per hour or 33 kilometers per hour with a few gusts. The weather fair to occasionally cloudy and slightly hazy with a few showers, becoming partly cloudy to cloudy with widely scattered showers from tonight. And there is an advisory in the average rate. Smoke off operators and sea beavers are advised to exercise caution due to above normal seas. The forecast for the Lesser Antilles over the Windward Islands generally cloudy with scattered showers, which may be locally heavy and isolated thunderstorms. For the north, fair to partly cloudy and slightly hazy with a few brief showers. The tropical weather outlook, a tropical wave located 300 miles east of the Windward Islands is expected to cause cloudiness, showers, and isolated thunderstorms over the southern portion of the region during the next 24 hours. Another tropical wave over the far eastern tropical Atlantic is moving westward near 12 miles per hour or 19 kilometers per hour. The Atlantic high pressure system will continue to generate moderate easterly winds across the eastern Caribbean region during the next few days. Tropical cyclone formation is not expected over the tropical Atlantic during the next 7 days. And this was a weather report as of 12 noon today, presented by Island Style Tile and Bath.
This has been RCI's Weather News. For more information, call the Weather Hotline at 454-3452. RCI 101 number 1.
Girl, I've been so stressed searching for the perfect tiles to complete my home.
Really?
Yeah, it's always the same white, beige, and gray tiles with these tile stores. Like they're all buying from the same place. You're the design expert. Help me, please. I'm fed up.
What are you looking for?
Something different. Something that says Caribbean beauty and suits my personality. Something vibrant and classy with a little razzle-dazzle.
Okay, Ms. Razzle Dazzle, I know just the place. Island Style Tile and Bath, they're my number one store for everything tile. And with their new In Living Color collection, you'll find the most gorgeous styles to give you that splash of Caribbean flair you're looking for.
That sounds perfect.
I'll even take you myself and throw in a free design consultation.
I'll never say no to that, sis. I can't afford you anyway.
Visit our Island Style showrooms in Castries, Rodney Bay, and Vieux Fort, or call 450-452 or 453 Tile. We'll help bring your vision to life in living color.
And welcome back to the Lunchroom here at Radio Caribbean International. And it's about 13 minutes before the hour of 2 o'clock. Of course, the number to call in if you want to tell us what's on your plate today, it is 452-3046. Again, 452-3046. as well as our WhatsApp number. That is 724-0008. Again, 724-0008. Some good news for the fishers of Miku. And they got a new jetty opened last week Friday in the, well, I think it's still called a village, but at some point I suppose the redesignation of places like Miku and Denry in particular may have to be done because in fact their populations are coming up pretty strongly. And but they got a brand new jetty, which of course has been a long-standing matter. Now, of course, the difficulty has always been on that Atlantic coast. The bays, of course, are pretty active. Lots of wave action there, and so let's hope that that jetty can hold. There was an earlier attempt, I think, that had been made to construct a sort of a floating jetty. That didn't do too well. So let's certainly hope that this facility can be utilized to the benefit of all those fishers, but not beyond the fishers, of course, as well. Hopefully, other potential uses, who knows, for that area. Ongoing works at Choiseul. Now, they've had an issue with their fisheries port from almost the inception of when it was constructed through the assistance of the Japanese government. Of course, they've been helping St. Lucia out for a good number of decades now in terms of fisheries infrastructure. And that, of course, has benefited the ports at Castries, the fishing facilities at Dennery, known as the Daito, in Vieux as well. The largest of them all, a significant investment there, as well as Soufrière, and ancillary as well, yes. So there are a number of these facilities, but in the case of Choiseul, it seems as if it has been problematic because of the movement of, I guess, longshore drift and the sand accumulation at the mouth of that port has been problematic. So it has effectively been kind of silting up, creating a sandbar, and the fishers have not been able to actually utilize the port effectively. It would mean that they would have to, if they were inside the lagoon areas, they would then have to sort of portage their vessels to get them out. And so that is in fact an ongoing project to try to correct that some of the design flaw in that Choiseul port. Let's go to the phone lines at this time to take in a call. Good afternoon. Good afternoon and welcome to the lunchroom. What's on your plate today? Hello?
Hi. Hello?
Oh, hi. Sorry, caller. I wasn't hearing you.
Good afternoon.
Yes.
I just like to make a comment. Since we are still in the midst of celebrating the Blind Welfare Month, I'd like to give some, because the different things that the blind and visually impaired have been able to do. And this little boy who just won canoe, that won the Junior Calypso King for this year. I don't know if you heard the Junior Calypso King for this year, the primary.
Yes, I heard from the Montgouge Combined School.
Yes, take your time.
Right, you don't have to rush to be an adult. I've heard the song.
Well, this song was written by a visually impaired person.
Ah, okay, all right.
It was written by Nikki Edmonds.
Okay.
Yes, because she's a writer.
I see.
She's a writer-composer, and she wrote his song, and she also wrote for two other singers to take over them. But unluckily, they didn't go through because I suppose maybe they could not really execute the song to how it should have executed, but they didn't make it. But this little boy actually won, and I listened to the whole junior calypso, both the primary and the infant, as well as the still pan. And I just want to say, I mean, the stranger did such a great job.
Yes, certainly. I mean, it's and kudos to the organizers. I mean, they went out of their way. I thought in terms of the setup and everything, and so I'm glad that we're seeing it. And of course, as has been said, I mean, it's so very important for the future of the art form, and keeping it going. And it's really, really good to see it.
And I don't know if you listen, but every single one, there was clarity. You heard every word that was sung.
Mm-hmm.
Every word, the pronunciation, everything. It was so nice just listening to the children. And it ran very smoothly because as soon as one child finished and the other thing, and they were on. And I really, really enjoyed just sitting and listening. And I was also, as I was glad for my friend because I've been the writer. And this little boy sang last year. And I was there to see after he came back. And also there's still pan.
There was junior pan as well, yes.
Yeah.
Over the weekend.
Some of them never even actually stop, they just go from one tune to another before even just taking to start like someone have to play a thing and stop and start. But I think Hess never stopped. They just went from one song to the other before. It was really, really nice listening to them. I hope these things can continue, and I hope it not only at carnival time, but if they could get this children occupied in playing their talent, maybe every quarter do something with them. Let them show their talent, bring them out there. Even though it's during the summer, you prepare them before at the end of the summer, you have another kind of thing for them. But just do a lot more because there's so much talent coming from those children.
Mm-hmm.
So
definitely.
Much.
Definitely.
Yes,
go ahead, Squaller.
By saying, why condemn crime when we know how dangerous crime is? When you have people that are supposed to be leaders saying from today night, the war begins. If you go to get the definition of war, it talks about violence, picking up arms and guns and all sorts of things to cause at any cost. So how you can tell me we want to have a war against crime, we want to stop crime, and then you're going to just have a statement like saying from tonight, the war begins. And in the most angry voice you can make her listening to that thing. And that same weekend we have killings. So you can want to condemn people that when you're instigating crime by saying those kind of things.
Well, I'm not sure that you're instigating crime. You have to be careful to say that. That it's not necessarily instigating crime, but definitely the use of incendiary language is not helpful. I'm not completely sure of the context, though, as to what was said.
It's a crime against the government. If you're just listening to the program last night.
Crime against government?
Yes. We need to take out the government. We need to take, and even the one I was listening to, the one was given even to the public servants. We need to get this government out. Today the war begins. We need to get this government out.
I don't know how that could be. I don't know how that could make any sense. But okay, that's very, very, very bizarre, I would say. I mean.
Because that's why they had this program.
I mean, I would think that everybody would know that there's a way of how governments are changed. That's through the polls.
But there are some people don't know how government change, and if they have to take out government by force, they will do it by force. And we know there are countries where that is done. I want to get into the war, I'll take you out by force, using arms and anything I get. So you're going to make stupid statements like that. And you have people with very, very low mind that may just decide, they'll jump on that. If you don't know where people's minds are at and what they can do. So you have to be very, very careful when people just say things. Just because you're in a position and to say things, you don't do those kind of things, and then you're going to tell me These are the simple as you cry. Crime is on the rise. Crime is the thing. You're saying that and another thing coming from your mouth.
Yeah, it's very strange. I'll have to go back and listen to exactly what was said to get a sense of it.
Stop in Saint Lucia. How can crime ever stop when?
Well, I don't think crime will stop anywhere, but we would like it to be
to curb it.
Curbed, yes, significantly.
Curb it?
Yeah, well, yeah, and there has to be a commitment to it in the long term from all political parties. Unfortunately, and this is a part of the issue too, right? In terms of politicizing crime. Yes, it is a political issue to some degree because, the government does have control over resources. But at the same time, of course, there has to be an all-of-country approach. And so it has to transcend politics as well.
It was you said, today we start a war against crime, against criminal activities. But it wasn't that was said, It wasn't that was said. It wasn't like a war against crime, like we always say we have to have a war against crime to stop those criminals by any means. It wasn't that. It was about just party, government wanting to be in control, feeling that somebody is not good enough to run a country, they're not doing a good job, and it's time, I cannot wait. It's all about that kind of thing, not about the welfare of people and wanting to see that criminals behave themselves and reported and taken into custody for what's happening. It's just about wanting to be in power. Come on.
Right.
And then if you cry crime, that's not right.
Well, that's very unfortunate. Very unfortunate. But I'll try to find the clips and see what was said. Thanks for that contribution, caller.
Okay.
And of course, congratulations to the different individuals who won in the National Schools Calypso competition, which happened last week, Friday. And from the primary schools, the third runner-up was Caleb John from the RC Boys Infant School. Second runner-up was Kimara Marius from the Carmen Rene Memorial. First runner-up was coming from the Ave Maria Girls Primary, and she is Zalaya Fanis. I hope I pronounced that right. Zalia Fanis, sorry. And the winner of the at the primary level of the National Schools Calypso competition was Kenyon Osman of the Mongoose Combined School. So congratulations to all of them and their wonderful award-winning performances over on Friday. And coming out from the secondary level in fourth place or third runner-up from the Bocage School was Caden Polio. Second runner-up came out of the CCSS, Castries Comprehensive Secondary School, Sorona Tuse. From the Miku Secondary School came the first runner-up, and that was Ivani Francis. And the winner of the secondary schools competition, that category, with her rendition called Number One, was Yandy James. Yandy James of the Sir Ira Simmons Secondary. So again, congratulations to all those who participated, of course, and the winners of that competition. Great work, and of course the songwriters, the individuals who prepared the sets and the backup music and the band and all of those who provided support. And of course there were a number of sponsors who came on board, so kudos to them as well for supporting the National Schools Calypso competition. That's our program for today, and tomorrow we'll be back again for another program, and we do hope that you can join us for that. I'm your host, Calix George Jr., saying goodbye.